It's happening more often, isn't it? The lights flicker, the power cuts out, and suddenly we're plunged into uncertainty. Natural disasters are growing fiercer, storms stronger, and wildfires relentless. Infrastructure we once thought unshakable feels more fragile by the day, buckling under age, cyber attacks, or sheer neglect. We've all seen the news or maybe even lived it ourselves. Days, weeks, even longer without power. No heat, no clean water, no communication, and no answers. Imagine it. Stretched out, indefinitely. Terrifying. But here's the truth no one wants to face. We aren't ready. Most of us are just hoping the grid won't fail, holding tight to the belief that someone, somewhere else, has a plan. Hope won't keep your family warm during a harsh winter blackout. It won't get you food if store shelves are empty or gas pumps are dead. And it certainly won't protect you when chaos unfolds in the dark. Preparation is the line between survival and catastrophe. The good news is, you don't have to feel helpless. Together, we'll face the growing threats head-on and take steps now to ensure you'll keep the lights on in your home even if the rest of the world has gone dark. Don't wait until it's too late. The next outage could be the one that drags on for weeks. By taking action today, you can reduce fear and panic when the worst unfolds. It's time to get ready while you still can. 1. Understanding the risks. Do you feel that chill crawling up your spine? If you're paying attention, you should. Power outages are no longer rare inconveniences. They're becoming regular, sinister reminders of just how fragile our modern lives are. Storms are more violent. Cyber attacks grow more sophisticated. Infrastructure is aging and crumbling with every passing year. Each flicker of the lights could spiral into a full-blown blackout. And when the grid goes down, it takes more from us than just electricity. Think about it. What happens when your fridge's hum dies and the food you count on starts to rot? Milk turns sour, meat spoils, the very basics that keep your family fed could vanish in hours. And without power, there's no restocking. Grocery store shelves empty out in a matter of days during widespread outages, and when desperation sets in, chaos is never far behind. But it doesn't stop there. Imagine tapping the glass of your phone screen only to find the signal is gone. No contact with loved ones, no internet to search for help. You're isolated in a sea of silence. Desperation whispers in the air as neighbors who were once friendly start locking doors and looking over their shoulders. Communication failures can fragment any sense of safety you once felt. That's just scratching the surface. Have you thought about how you'll stay warm during a brutal winter night when darkness swallows the heat? Or how you'll keep cool in the unrelenting grip of a summer heat wave? Because without a steady current of power, the systems you take for granted will crumble. It's only then you'll realize how utterly dependent we all are on the grid. And it's only then, if you're not prepared, that you'll feel real fear. Blackouts don't just disrupt lives, they upend them. Power isn't just light or the ability to charge your gadgets. It means security, comfort, and survival. Have you asked yourself what you'd do if a grid failure wasn't fixed in a matter of hours or days? What if it stretched to weeks? If a cyber attack on critical infrastructure brought modern society to its knees, would you be ready? Would you endure? Or would you simply be swept away by the chaos? The risks are real, and the dangers are multiplying. You can feel that gnawing unease in your gut because deep down, you already know this could happen. And it could happen to you. 2. Building a power outage emergency kit. If reading this hasn't put you ill at ease yet, it should. But fear isn't just a tool of survival, it's a call to action. You might not be able to stop disasters or prevent failures in the grid, but you can take control of your fate. Building a power outage emergency kit isn't just smart. It's your lifeline when things fall apart. The essentials are non-negotiable. When the grid fails, so does light. Pitch-black nights will stretch endlessly, hiding who knows what in the shadows. That's why flashlights and a stockpile of batteries are your first line of defense against the dark. Keep them within arm's reach, and don't rely on a single one. Murphy's Law says your only flashlight will die just when you need it most. Oh, and candles? They're just as critical. Their dim but steady glow might be old-fashioned, but in a blackout it's a flickering beacon of hope. Then we come to survival's cruelest reality. Water and food. Two things we think of as plentiful can vanish with power loss. Refrigerators die, and with them, the safe storage of your meals. That's why you need a stash of non-perishable food and a water supply that could sustain you for at least a week. Canned goods, dried fruits, protein bars, and shelf-stable vegetables are your allies. But keep this in mind, if you don't have a manual can opener, you might as well bury those cans in the dirt. And water? Think beyond just drinking, washing, cooking, cleaning. The need never stops. Stockpile at least a gallon per person per day, and don't skimp. Medical emergencies won't wait just because the power's out. You need a first aid kit, fully stocked and accessible. Bleeding, burns, sickness, disasters tend to bring the worst when you're least equipped to handle them. And medications? If you or your family rely on daily prescriptions, letting those pills run out could be a death sentence. Make sure you have a backup supply. The grid doesn't care about your health when it breaks down, but you When everything else fails, communication can still be the thread that ties you to the outside world. But technology is only as good as its charge. Those flimsy phone batteries won't last long. Portable phone chargers and power banks are an absolute must. Solar-powered ones are even better since you can recharge them during daylight hours. And if cell service fails, you'll find yourself wishing you had a solar-powered or hand-crank radio. These little gadgets don't just give weather updates or emergency broadcasts. They become lifelines when every other door has slammed shut. Beyond these basics, you must think of the tools that can make survival not just possible, but bearable. A simple kit of basic tools, a wrench, pliers, duct tape, and the like, might be the difference between solving a problem and sitting in helplessness. Keep them nearby. Backup power sources like generators or even basic solar panels can also be game changers. A small generator can keep your freezer humming, sparing your costly groceries from ruin. But a word of warning. Generators and fuel are highly sought after during outages. If you wait until disaster strikes to get one, you might just find yourself digging through shadows empty-handed. Preparing this kit doesn't mean simply buying supplies and tossing them into a corner. It means readiness. It means knowing where each item is when you need it most. Practice using these tools and supplies. There's no room for fumbling when the grid goes down. This kit won't just be a box of items in your darkest moments. It will be survival, safety, and maybe even salvation. Will these steps guarantee your survival if the grid collapses tomorrow? Nothing in life is guaranteed, but preparation isn't about certainty. It's about tipping the odds in your favor, about ensuring that when midnight falls and the world turns silent, you're not left helpless. You'll have light, you'll have water, you'll have a plan. Preparing your home. Picture this. A bitter wind howls outside as darkness swallows your neighborhood, and with it the comforting hum of heating systems disappears. Or perhaps it's summertime, and the sweltering heat seeps into every corner of your home because the air conditioner has fallen silent. It's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Yet far too many people assume their homes will protect them. Even when the power's out, trust me, they won't. Not without preparation. Your home is your last bastion when the grid goes down. But left unprepared, it can quickly turn into a prison of discomfort, or worse. Insulating your home is crucial. I can't stress enough how quickly temperatures inside your house can plummet or soar to life-threatening extremes. Insulation isn't just about comfort, it's survival. You've got to seal your windows with extra weather stripping or even heavy-duty plastic sheeting. Block drafts under doors with rolled towels or draft stoppers. A few small steps now can save you from freezing or roasting later. When was the last time you thought about your electronics? Sure, you might not be able to use them in a blackout, but their circuits are still at risk. A sudden surge in electricity when the power snaps back on could leave them fried beyond repair. Surge protectors aren't just about saving your favorite gadgets. They're about protecting your investments. Imagine coughing up thousands to replace your appliances just because you skipped a simple precaution. Don't make that mistake. And then there's warmth and cooling. If temperatures drop, a stockpile of heavy blankets and warm clothing can make the difference between a miserable night and a bearable one. Layer upon layer will be your armor against the cold. On the other hand, if the oppressive heat comes knocking and you've lost your fans, consider handheld misting devices or cooling towels. You need to think ahead and adapt your home to whatever Mother Nature throws your way. Generators. This might be the most terrifying part. A generator is a game changer, but only if you know what you're doing. Properly set it up outside to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. Make sure you have an adequate fuel supply. Trust me when I say a poorly used generator is a silent killer. It'll lure you into a false sense of safety while poisoning the very air you're breathing. Training yourself now ensures you're not playing Russian roulette with your life later. Your home has the potential to be your fortress in the blackout to come. But here's the horrifying truth. Without preparation, it can become your downfall. The power won't care if you're too cold, too hot, or too careless. You have to care. You have to act. 4. Staying connected and informed. There's a peculiar silence when the power fails, isn't there? It's not just the absence of hums and beeps. It's a connection cut, not just to convenience, but to the world. When the grid goes down, the terrifying reality is how alone it can make you feel. And in isolation, the danger only grows. Communication is your lifeline. Without it, you'll never know if help is coming, if another storm is on its way, or if the blackout will stretch on for days. Do you know how the fear builds with each passing hour in the dark, unaware of what's happening outside your door? That's the reality for countless people who fail to plan for this moment. It doesn't have to be your reality if you prepare. Start with a simple list. Emergency contacts, from family to local authorities, must be written down and easily accessible. Don't rely solely on your phone to store this information. When the battery dies, that glittering screen becomes nothing more than a useless block of glass and metal. Write it down. That piece of paper may save your life. Battery-powered or solar radios are more than relics of an older time. They're keys to staying informed, providing critical updates about weather, safety measures, and emergency instructions. When the grid crumbles, these radios could be your only connection to the outside world. Have you ever thought about how unnerving it would be not knowing if danger is inches away? Don't put yourself in that position. Keep that radio ready. And then there's the matter of your devices. This is your warning. When the first hints of a storm or outage roll in, charge everything you've got. Smartphones, tablets, power banks. They can all offer you extra hours of light, information, and connection. But those hours will tick away faster than you think. When the power's gone, conserving battery life isn't optional. It's essential. Turn off unnecessary apps. Dim the screen. Every little bit could stretch that lifeline longer. But even with preparation, disconnection is inevitable. That's where old-school tools come into play. Maps, flashlights, physical copies of instructions or survival guides. Things that don't rely on batteries or Wi-Fi. These may feel like overkill today, but in that first long stretch of silence, you'll be grateful you thought ahead. Don't underestimate the power of staying informed. The world won't wait for you. When the grid goes down, there won't be flashy alerts popping up to guide you through the chaos. Trust me, when you're cut off, fear will come knocking. But if you prepare your connections, you won't have to answer. The work you do today could mean the difference between fear and control when the blackout begins. 5. Food and water safety. You might think you've got plenty of food and water at home to ride out a power outage. Maybe you've got a stocked fridge and some bottled water in the pantry. But here's the shocking truth most people overlook. The food in your refrigerator has a death clock ticking the moment the power goes out. And without a plan, that bottled water won't stretch as far as you hope. Trust me, when you realize you're running out, the panic sets in fast. Food safety isn't just about not wasting what you have, it's about survival. Do you know how long the food in your fridge lasts when the power goes out? You'd better hope it's not longer than 4 hours. That's when bacteria start moving in, turning what was once lunch into a health hazard. Frozen food gives you a bit more time, but only if you keep that freezer door shut. Every time you crack it open, you're throwing away precious hours. If you don't already have a thermometer in there, get one now. Once the freezer creeps past 40 DFF, you're in the danger zone. But even if you're careful with your fridge or freezer, prolonged outages can outlast your stored perishables. That's where non-perishable foods come into play. Cans of soup, beans, and fruit will be your go-to. And before you stockpile, make sure you have the ultimate tool for survival no one thinks about until it's too late. A manual can opener. I've seen more than one person tearing into a can with a knife, desperate and reckless, because they assumed electricity would always power their gadgets. Then, there's water. It's scarier than anyone wants to admit, but you need gallons, not bottles. A minimum of 1 gallon per person per day is non-negotiable, and that's assuming your water source hasn't been compromised. Do you know what happens when desperation hits and someone drinks from a tainted tap or an unsafe pool of water? That shortcut could make you sick when you can least afford to be. You can't risk it. If you don't have a stockpile of water yet, start now. Purification is your backup plan, and it has to be rock solid. Boiling water is one of the safest methods, but you'll need the means to heat it without electricity. If you can't do that, invest in water purification tools like tablets, filters, or even UV purification wands. You don't want your first experience with these tools to be during a blackout when time is critical. Learn how to use them now, because when the faucets run dry and the bottles are gone, you'll be staring at every questionable water source, wondering if it'll save you or poison you. Don't wait until you're staring into an empty fridge or dry faucet during a prolonged blackout. The panic of watching food spoil or realizing your water supply isn't enough is a wake-up call no one should have to face. Act today, because tomorrow, the grid could be gone. 6. Health and safety tips. There's something about a blackout that makes every shadow seem darker, every noise sharper. It's easy to lose yourself in the fear of the unknown. But don't kid yourself. The real dangers aren't the ones lurking outside. They're the silent killers you bring into your own home through unpreparedness and ignorance. If you don't take health and safety seriously, you're opening the door to risks that could turn deadly fast. First and foremost, if you're using a generator, read every single warning label like it's life or death, because it is. Carbon monoxide doesn't announce itself. It won't knock at your door or give you a chance to react. You won't smell it, taste it, or see it creeping into your space. But within minutes, it can take a family from hopeful to heartbroken. Never, ever run a generator inside your home, garage, or even right next to a window. Crack a window, spend money on a carbon monoxide detector. Do whatever it takes to be safe. And practice using the generator before there's an emergency. If you're fumbling with it when the lights go out, you're already too late. Next, we need to talk about hydration and hygiene. When the lights flicker out and the water stops running, staying clean and hydrated can feel like an impossible task. But neglecting either one is dangerous. You won't last more than a few days without water, and dehydration will sneak up faster than you think. Even if you have enough cleaned and stored water for drinking, don't forget you'll also need water for hygiene. A small cut or infected scrape during the panic of a blackout can spiral into something far worse without proper attention. Stock up on hand sanitizers, wet wipes, and even an old-fashioned bar of soap. Simplify your hygiene routine, but don't ignore it, not for a second. If you rely on medications or medical devices, managing them during a blackout is a terrifying thought most of us want to push away. But ignoring it is a fatal mistake. Do you have a supply of essential medications that can last you at least a week beyond what you usually have on hand? Make that call to your pharmacist now, because storms and disasters don't wait for refills, and if you rely on powered medical devices, every second counts when the electricity fails. Know your options. Backup batteries, portable power packs, and solar chargers might sound extravagant today, but they could be the thing keeping you alive tomorrow. Never forget, when the grid is up, it's easy to assume you're safe. But health emergencies don't stop for blackouts. That headache you ignored could be carbon monoxide poisoning creeping in. That dry mouth could be the first sign of dehydration. And that itching on your hand could mean you're not as clean as you hoped. The human body is fragile, and when the grid fails, its vulnerabilities become glaring. Staying healthy and safe isn't guaranteed unless you prepare. 7 p.m. Entertainment and comfort. When the power goes, it's more than just the lights that fade. The hum of electronics, the buzz of notifications, the endless stream of entertainment. We take it all for granted until it's gone, and then we're left with silence and darkness, staring into the long hours of waiting. Have you thought about how you'd pass that time? Because trust me, nothing will mess with your head faster than boredom combined with fear. That's a lethal recipe, one that can unravel even the strongest minds. The key to surviving those endless hours isn't just about holding out physically. It's about keeping your mind intact. When all your go-to distractions are ripped away, you need something to fill the void. Books, board games, puzzles, cards. These might feel like relics of a simpler time, but when the grid goes down, they can be lifesavers. A gripping novel or a tense game of chess can do more than occupy you. It can keep your anxiety at bay when every other part of your world feels out of control. Have you set aside anything like this? If not, start now. Make it a part of your plan, because long hours in cold silence can do more damage than you realize. And then there's the emotional toll. The grid's collapse doesn't just plunge your home into darkness, it plays tricks on your mind. With each hour that drags on, the stress mounts. Will things come back on? Should I have done more to prepare? What happens if this lasts for days? Those questions haunt you, and without a strategy to combat them, they'll eat away at your sanity. Maintaining a positive mindset isn't optional. It's your mental armor. One of the best lifelines is shared moments with the people around you. Pull your family together, create a sense of unity, tell stories, share laughs, even if forced at first. Humor and connection are powerful tools in the face of fear. You can't always control what's happening out there in the world, but you can control how you face it. And when moments of hope or calm appear, grab them with both hands. They'll remind you that blackouts, no matter how long, are temporary. You're tougher than the darkness, as long as you fight to stay that way. 8. After the outage. When the lights flicker back on, the temptation to breathe a sigh of relief is overwhelming. But that relief is often short-lived. The chaos might feel like it's over, but the aftermath carries its own dangers and challenges. This is the part no one warns you about. Yet what you do now, in that fragile window after the outage ends, is just as vital as everything you did to get through it. First, don't trust your home blindly. The blackout didn't just leave you in the dark, it might have left damage behind. Think about it. Was there a storm, flooding, extreme heat, or cold? Inspect everything. Your appliances and electronics might have suffered surges when the power returned. Imagine risking a fire because an old surge protector failed when the electricity roared back to life. Don't use anything without checking for damage. Look for broken circuits, strange smells, or sparks. And what about your plumbing? Pipes don't care about blackouts, but the freezing temperatures do. If the grid failed in winter, you might be dealing with cracks or leaks you haven't seen yet. Walk through your home as if it's a stranger's. Be thorough, be cautious. Once you've cleared the immediate threats, the next priority is rebuilding what you've used. Your emergency kit, your food supply, your batteries, your water reserves, they've probably taken a hit. Don't fall into complacency just because the power's back. That outage wasn't a one-off. It was a warning. Each blackout should push you to improve, reinforce, and expand your preparations. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What could I have done better? Did you run out of candles? Did you find yourself unprepared for the cold? Did boredom or stress get the better of someone in your household? Reflect and act before the lesson fades, because the next outage won't wait for you to catch up. And here's the part that should scare you the most. Just because one blackout ends doesn't mean another isn't lining up right behind it. Maybe the storm season isn't over. Maybe the grid is under attack, more fragile than you dared to admit. Whatever caused the blackout might happen again, sooner than you think. Every prolonged outage you survive should turn into an opportunity to fine-tune your readiness. If you rest on your laurels, you're just setting yourself up to fail next time. The truth is, after the outage, you're not just returning to normal life. You're standing on a knife's edge, knowing that the world around you is growing more unstable by the day. Don't waste the chance to become stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Restocking, inspecting, and reflecting aren't just chores, they're survival skills. And if you're not learning from each blackout, you're putting yourself at risk for when the next one hits. The blackout isn't over when the power comes back, when the lights return, when the hum of your appliances kicks in again. The work has just begun. This isn't just survival, it's the evolution of it. Every moment you take now to prepare for the next collapse is a step towards ensuring you and your loved ones thrive in the face of the inevitable. Because the grid will fall again. The question isn't if, it's when. And when it does, you'll know that this time, you're ready. Or will you?